is by sharing one common foe. The enemy of my enemy is my friend after all, and in this case, the enemy would come in the form of a giant squid from space.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Or by detonating reactors in the US and the USSR's major cities, generating a radioactive decay signature similar to Dr. Manhattan's. However you look at it, the plan is clear. Cause a catastrophic event on both the US and Soviet Russia, have them both come to the understanding that the attack did not come from either force, unite both countries with one common goal, and end the Cold War once and for all. Peace and love at the cost of hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians. My one villainous scene is probably the most iconic villain monologue I can think of, starting off very cliche with the hero surrounding the villain as he monologues about his evil plan, letting his hubris overwhelm him and control his better judgment, believing he had already won, and despite the heroes uniting to stop him, their efforts are futile. We all know how villains meet their fall from grace from this moment. But you forget, Ozymandias isn't a villain, he's a hero. He's the hero, and the hero always wins. Especially when that hero happens to be the smartest man in the world and says this.
Do that, wish I? I'm not a comic book villain. Do you seriously think I'd explain my masterstroke to you if there were even the slightest possibility you could affect the outcome?
Millions of lives lost, billions of lives shocked and appalled. The US and Russia realized that their petty fighting was all for nothing, and peace is declared almost immediately. Ozymandias stands victorious not for causing the deaths of millions, but for arguably saving the lives of billions and more to come. The man who idolized two of the most powerful men to ever walk the earth, men who viewed themselves as gods among us, was now standing, a god among his former friends, knowing well that his mind just saved the world, and finally, after so many years, he lived up to the heroes of his youth. So, what classifies as a villain? Honestly, the title is too vague for a simple explanation to make it clear. Adrian Veidt was seen as a hero to millions. His actions, however, were those of a villain. How do you identify someone whose villainous deeds are those done for the greater good? It always takes one person with power to look upon themselves and say, the world needs me, whether they want it or not. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the anatomy of an anti-villain. Thank you so much for watching, and if you like what you see here and you want to see more, be sure to like, share the video with your friends, and subscribe for more content. And if you'd like to support the show, then check out our Patreon page for bonus content and exclusive rewards, including the chance to request for a movie or show for us to review in the future. I'd like to give a special shout out to Nando V Movies, whose wonderful take on Thanos and Loki is what motivated me to make my own video talking about my own choice for a one villainous scene. If you guys haven't checked out his channel yet, I highly recommend you do so. As always, I'm Sebastian from Cinemageddon Reviews signing out, and I'll see you on the wasteland.
Nando, you son of a bitch. So remember, like, when I made that video that got all the views? Basically, that was part of the One Excellent Scene project, made by this guy, Matt. Or as you may know him, Nando V Movies. And he's created a new one villainous scene, in honor of the new Suicide Squad movie by James Gunn, which I'm really looking forward to. That's pretty good. He's put together a new project where we have to create a video essay on our favourite scenes of our favourite villains. So I thought, I was very, very, very close to choosing the scene at the start of Inglourious Bastards with Hans Landa, but someone said that. And I was also quite close to choosing basically any scene of Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin, but I've decided to go for the reveal scene in Hot Fuzz. Now, if you've never seen Hot Fuzz because you hate true art, let me run it down for you. Hot Fuzz is a movie directed by Edgar Wright and written by Edgar Wright and uncut by It stars Uncoupler as Nicholas Angel and also Nick Frost as Nick Frost. In the movie, Nicholas Angel basically is a really, really good police officer in London, but then he gets shipped off to this other place. And it turns out there's a lot of murders going on in this place. He has to try and figure it out. And at this point in the movie, we're basically led to believe that this guy is the killer. And they're not trying to hide it either. But then we find out that basically everyone is the killer. There is no one villain in this movie. I mean, the primary antagonist is really this guy or Professor Slughorn. But as a whole, the whole town is basically one antagonist. If you actually look at their plan, it's really fucking sinister. Like, their plan is to kill basically everyone in the town who gets in, and get this. So basically throughout the movie, you basically are told like 1 billion times a bunch of different characters who might be the villains. And every character feels like a red herring, but then in this scene you find out that everyone you think is the bad guy is the bad guy. I don't know which one of these geniuses came up with that, but it's genius. It's brilliant. Because this isn't like a Michael Bay police movie. This is a satirization of the police movie genre. So anything that might seem normal is not going to happen. Something is going to be subverted. It's brilliant storytelling by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. And while their motivation might seem silly, when they actually go through with it, again, as I say, it's really sinister, and they are actually a threatening force throughout the film. And like I say, it's just incredible storytelling by Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. And while I don't think this is the best of the Cornetted trilogy that award goes to Shaun of the Dead, it's still one of the greatest comedies.
What?
You gonna wash your hands?
No, 'cause I'm evil.
Welcome everybody, I'm RJ of The Nerdy Brew, and here on this channel we talk TV, movies, and everything in between, all while drinking a cup of coffee. Now if you like one of those...
Three times has there been a tag made by Nando V Movies to talk about a specific type of scene in commemoration of a movie. And this time, I think I'll throw my hat into the ring. Hello everybody, I'm Penn. My channel is pretty small, so I'm sure a lot of you got here because my participation in this tag put me into the playlist and the search term for the tag. I talk about a lot of things on my channel, mainly video games. Today I want to talk about a scene that I really liked from Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. If you don't care about spoilers for this game, maybe this video might convince you to play it. Playing this game took up about a month of my summer vacation, and I remember one scene that stuck with me for a while. This video contains full game spoilers for Xenoblade Chronicles. If you haven't played it, it's good. Definitive Edition is on Switch, and I highly recommend playing it. I think a great way to talk about this scene would be to list some of the build-up that went into making this scene so impactful. Battle of Sword Valley was a battle that took place a year prior to the events of the main story, and is the prologue to the game. The good guys, the fantasy world human stand-ins called Homs, are killed by evil robots known as Mechon. The Battle of Sword Valley is a battle between the Homs and the Mechon on the sword of the metal giant known as the Mechonis. Dunban is the wielder of the Monado, a magic sword that can kill Mechon. He's leading the charge against the Mechon along with his friends, Mumcar and Dixon. Mumcar decides to ditch his friends as things are getting bad, and plans to recover the Monado for himself so he can be the hero after Dunban's dead. He's then ambushed by a group of laser sites hidden by Shadow, very telling of his supposed fate. A year later, the Mechon attack Colony 9, the home of Dunban and our main protagonists. Shulk takes the Monado to fend off the attack because Dunban lost the use of his right arm. Shulk uses the Monado and is given a power from it that Dunban lacked. He can see the future. When he or someone he doesn't want to die is in danger, he can see a glimpse of what's going to kill them as a warning he can use to save them. Towards the end of the Mechon raid, we see a vision of Shulk's friend, Fiora, being killed by a Mechon, and she can't hear his pleas to run, so that Mechon with a face ends up killing her. Shulk then tries to use the Monado to cut the metal-faced Mechon to bits, but the Monado doesn't work. This baffles our heroes, and the Mechon flee, having killed many of the people of Colony 9. Metal-Face motivates Shulk and his best friend Ryan to travel to Bionis so they can take revenge on the Mechon and find a way to kill Metal-Face. During their travels around the Bionis, Shulk and Ryan help the survivors of Colony 6 take back their home from the Mechon occupying their ether mines and discover more powers of the Monado. They then meet up with Dunban again, along with encountering Metal-Face. For the first time, he speaks and mocks our heroes for their dedication to their cause. It's only because of the appearance of a Telethia that Metal-Face flees. Shulk then pursues a location he saw in a vision, because in that vision he was able to use the Monado to hurt Metal-Face. Across many hours, Shulk meets new friends and gains access to Prison Island, the place from his vision. They are then attacked by Metal-Face and a new-faced Mechon. It is in this fight that a person that Shulk met named Zanza grants the Monado the power to hurt faces. In the following battle, Shulk realizes why the Monado couldn't hurt the faced Mechon. The Monado is naturally unable to hurt Homs, and the faced Mechon are mechs with brainwashed Homs piloting them. Their blood circulates throughout these mechanical bodies, acting as an armor against the Monado. They learn this because they see their supposedly dead friend alive and controlling the silver-faced Mechon. Goal has now changed. Our heroes aren't avenging Fiora. They're going to save her. They then meet her again in Valak Mountain, the area that leads to Sword Valley, where we learn something about Metal-Face. The faces are Homs, so who's Metal-Face exactly? Probably someone we haven't seen in a long time with a big ego and a hatred for Dunban. It is then revealed that Mumkar is the pilot of Metal-Face. This then leads to their assault on Sword Valley, and ends my plot summary. The scene I chose to analyze begins with Mumkar showing up to block the entrance to Galahad Fortress. Mumkar is fighting because of a vendetta against Dunban, and he wants to take the Monado for the sake of his own glory. He then summons a squad of mass-produced faces as backup, because it's been shown at this point that Mumkar is a total coward. In his boasting about these metal-faced Mechon, Mumkar gives the implication that one of them is Sharla's husband, Gatto. She then takes aim at him, and Shulk stops Mumkar from attacking her. Mumkar then handily explains that his glowing green weapons will kill anything from Bionis, because Mumkar has a massive ego and he thinks the party won't live long enough for that information to give them an advantage. This then leads to an in-game battle. I'm going to skip over this because naturally it's an in-game battle and doesn't have much bearing on the plot. The cutscene then skips forward to when Mumkar is nearly dead, and Dunban is nearly about to strike the killing blow, but Shulk blocks his blade. They then struggle against one another for a minute while they talk. Dunban pleads with Shulk. Dunban wants Shulk to get out of his way so we can kill Mumkar.
Get out of my way, Shulk! It's Mumkar! He's not a Mechon! Have you forgotten everything he's done? Where is your killer instinct? Now is the time! I hate him, Dunban! For what he did to Fiora and the Emperor! So of course I want to get my revenge!
Shulk.
But... Face Mechon are not like the others. They're people. Like us. Are you really willing to kill another Homs? Yes. Sometimes needs must. Even if it's Fiora. What then?
Shulk doesn't want to kill Mumkar, not only because of the standard hero's ideology of not crossing the line so they don't cross further lines. Shulk knows that not all of Mumkar's feelings as a face are his own. He's just like the prior antagonist, Zord. Whatever personality Zord had before becoming a face was twisted into his sadistic persona. Shulk wants to be able to save all of the faces.
What you need, boss?
Dunban lowers his blade. Then Mumkar tries to use this as an opportunity to attack, but Dunban dodges and Mumkar loses his mech's limbs. Shulk then gets a vision, and remember how I said Shulk gets visions when people he doesn't want to die are in harm's way? Shulk's next vision shows Mumkar charging forward and getting skewered by falling debris. Shulk tries to warn Mumkar, but Mumkar fires the missiles that only help to dislodge the debris that ends up skewering him, ending his life. Mumkar was the main villain for a long time. Up from the main conflict being established to his death, he was Shulk's arch nemesis. It's not until we learn more about the Mechon chain of command that Mumkar loses his status as the big bad evil guy. Mumkar was even a major influence post-mortem. His behavior led to Egil's decision to make all phases have their personal memories locked away. He also led the attacks on Colony 9 and Alchemoth, which had dire repercussions. Another interesting thing about Mumkar is that he displays a bit of irony that also acts as foreshadowing. He died right when Shulk stated that he didn't want him to. The same thing happened with Sword before him and Egil after him. Mumkar's motivations and what he brings our heroes to see in themselves is why he ended up being my pick for one villainous scene. Also, Egil and Zanza have a lot more nuance, and I can't write something that dense on such short notice.
When you're at your lowest point, and an enticing offer from the shadows rolls your way, feed the lantern. Do you no longer care for your daughter? Cut down the Edelwood trees, Woodsman. The beast from over the garden wall is perhaps one of the most evil characters that's appeared on Cartoon Network. He's not shrouded by kid-friendly violence or jokes. He is a dark creature that feeds on the lives of lost souls, of lost children. The Woodsman. Word. Anyone is susceptible to the beast's temptations. Even with how little he directly appears in the story, he leaves such a presence on the world, with everything being shaped by the fear he causes. To catch you up, the two main characters, Wirt and Greg, find themselves in the unknown, without any recollection of how they got there. The unknown is a forest full of magical and terrifying creatures, but the one above them all is the beast, a shadowy figure that manipulates and controls the wood's inhabitants, driven solely by the Dark Lantern. The woodsman a long time ago stole the lantern away from the beast, and then a deal was struck. Grind down the Edelwood trees, and feed their oil to the lantern. Now keep your daughter alive inside of it. The story's build-up involves the main characters losing hope, and by the end when Greg gives up, the beast appears before them. Every single Edelwood tree the woodsman has grinded up over the years was revealed to be just another lost soul that the beast transformed, keeping his daughter alive in his mind, not knowing that he sacrificed the souls of countless others. That leads us to the ending. The woodsman learns the truth, and tries to attack the beast with his axe, while Wirt tries to free his brother. But the woodsman was finally defeated after all these years, fighting for the lantern. Wirt grabs the lantern and declares he's going to return home with his brother, but his brother is unconscious and isn't waking up, wrapped up in Edelwood branches. With the same standstill as before, the beast says,
"Well then, perhaps we better make a deal."
So I've been replaying Mass Effect Legendary Edition for the 4th time. You know, scanning keepers, collecting war assets, romancing Liara, and waxing goddamn nostalgic. That was when Nendo V Movies started up his One Villainous Scene campaign. Unlike his previous One Marvelous Scene and One Excellent Scene campaigns, I actually feel as though I have a